welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
Tyler. I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
And I'm Brittleknee.
BK is back for episode 241 of Forever Exiled. Thanks for hanging out with us again, BK.
Thanks for having me.
Big shout out to our patrons and people who support the podcast. We love your faces. Patreon gets access to After Dark, so podcast after the podcast. Thanks to everybody who resubbed up this week. And that's what it is. So it's our extra podcast.
That's the spiel.
That's the thing. You've heard it before, you know. Go to Patreon and sign up if you want to hear it.
You listen to Patreon if you want to hear more Path of Exile talk, and you sign up for Patreon.
You just never know what you're going to get.
Episodes with no Path of Exile.
You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Which is most definitely what
different.
This episode is going to be.
Yeah, there's it'll be interesting to see how these this week's episodes go. How's life, BK? Thanks for hanging out again. What's new with you?
Thanks for having me. I am getting over being extremely sick, and it feels good to be human again. I'm kind of just celebrating that in its entirety.
Everything's good,
yeah.
Better now?
Better. I'll know more when I can get to the doctor and get like properly evaluated. There's this really weird like period of time where like I couldn't sign up for healthcare until I was a resident, and I had to wait 90 days until I was a resident. And then health insurance doesn't kick on until the next month. So I got my license on like the 3rd, and I have to wait until June 1st to go see a doctor. Yeah. So that kind of sucks. But yeah.
Glad you didn't die in the meantime.
Yeah, it was real. I mean, not being dramatic, it was real touch and go there for a bit.
That
it
sucks.
was probably the most major health incident that I've been through, and the absolute closest that I've been to like absolutely caving in and being like, all right, you know what? I don't care if I go into $40,000 in medical debt. I am miserable. But luckily I didn't have to go to the ER or anything. So
that sucks.
Yep. I from about the 26th until I say it was about the 10th or so when I was finally able to start eating again. I couldn't eat food.
Wow. And so you've got till the 1st?
Yeah. Luckily, most of my symptoms have gone. Like some are still like here and there, but nothing as severe. And I've been able to keep my food down. So
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And so June 1st are you allowed to the second June 1st hits? Like
yeah. So as soon as I got signed up for my healthcare, I called the office that I want to go to and sign up for an appointment. And like like my insurance doesn't start until the 1st. What's the soonest you can get me in? They're like, no problem. We have some appointments early on. So
can they book your appointment now without having that part? Or
yeah, because it doesn't actually hit until billing happens. So it wouldn't be until day of that they would even talk to my insurance. So they're allowed to put the appointment down, but yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm sorry that things have been so rough for you, and I'm glad that you've been able to hang through it.
Yeah, not exactly the thing that you want to happen, especially because it like happened right after my birthday too, and nothing is worse than basically praying to the porcelain throne
right
on your birthday for the entire day, fetal for 18 hours because everything hurts. It was not a fun one. Maybe next year's better. We'll see.
It's got to be. It can't be worse.
Yeah, that's true. Right? It's probably the worst birthday I've ever had.
Have you been up to anything else then, or have you just been like suffering through that? Has that just been...
Well, I mean, it just knocked me out. Like I couldn't do anything. I was in so much pain for so long that like I couldn't even be on the computer. Like these last couple of days are like the first time since but like end of April that I've been able to sit at a computer for like a few hours.
Dang.
So it's been pretty crazy.
That sucks. Did you watch lots of TV or what'd you do?
Pretty much, yeah. Like there's some shows that I like to rewatch, kind of like a little bit more regularly. And then there's plenty of stuff on the backlog. Like I finally got through all of Letterkenny. I wanted to watch that forever.
Oh, cool. We have a buddy who loves lives and breathes Letterkenny.
Yeah. And then I did my like yearly rewatch of The Sopranos.
I still haven't watched that
show, and The Wire as well, which is where she comes from.
That's awesome.
Those are the two that I rewatch like every 2 years or so.
That's cool.
All of The Sopranos? That's a lot.
Man, I had nothing else to do.
I guess that's true.
Except lay fetal on my couch and wait for it to go away.
Make me laugh, TV.
Just something to pass the time, so I just don't sit there screaming inside my own head for however long. It sucks. But yeah,
What'd you
hopefully
think
I
of
figure out what's
Letterkenny?
going on with me. It was hilarious. It's hilarious in a way, like it's so nice because being from Florida, like there's plenty of shows that are just about like how wild and crazy and fucked up Florida are. And it's so nice to watch a show where there's all these like cultural things and like silly things that happen and like jabs that are being taken at different people and places and times. And it has like nothing to do with Florida. Like it's so nice for somewhere else to be the butt of
Yeah.
every joke, you know?
Right.
Nah, it's pretty funny. Those are very popular actors where we're from.
Gotcha. I
Yep.
thought it was brilliant. Really well written too. I like the wit. Lots of really sharp little one-liners flying
he's
around through all the episodes. They're great.
Yeah. He and they're very creative, very cool. I love that they came from nothing and just did things their way, and now they're crazy famous because of it. Got a big deal with Crave, and it's fun. Cool. Glad you liked it.
Yeah.
How about you, Josh?
How's your week been, Ty?
You're gonna skip you?
I'm just trying to figure out an audio thing. So go ahead. How's your week?
Without a backup, right?
No backup this time. We're good. Go
We're
ahead.
doing
How's your
it
week?
live.
That's right. Just making a note. Go ahead, Ty. How's your week?
No, I had a good week. It's been nice weather. Good on gardening. My health stuff. I've been completely drained this week, so I wasn't as efficient as I wanted to be around the house and with the tasks that are more time sensitive, like garden stuff, when things need to be planted or pruned and that kind of thing. But still been a great week. Kids have had some play dates, and they're getting into their last few weeks of school now, which is awesome. I mean, we're near the end of May, and it's the end of June soon. So you're getting all those, like some of their year. I mean, they're still in elementary school, my kids. So the some of those projects that have been going on for a few months now, they're nearing completion, and the kids are getting excited. They're doing presentations in front of their class and assemblies, and so they've a lot more stories to tell when they come home. And yeah, so it's all good. It's been a nice and relaxing week. My wife's friend that was going to pass has now passed. She died
That's too
on
bad.
the weekend, so it's been very sorrowful in our house this week. But
I'm sorry for your loss.
well,
Yeah, it
thank
sucks.
you. I will pass it on. And it's tough. Like nobody actually ever wants to go through that, especially when your best buddy and awesome person doesn't even make it to 40. But they it always provides that perspective of shift of priorities and thankfulness and that kind of stuff too. So
Right.
I mean, you never want to go through that because of mourning, but there's always the flower that blooms afterwards that helps those that survive and gives that perspective of things to be thankful for, no matter where you are in life. So yeah, so it's been a somber week, a good week, but a somber week. Yeah,
I might have frozen my camera,
you might have.
Yeah, you did.
but we're just going to go with it.
Okay. So what are you growing this year? My health shit happened right when I was getting ready to plant my garden, so I have to live vicariously through you. Probably not
Okay.
until next weekend for me to get anything in the ground. So
All right. Well, and this will be your first time going all crazy in Colorado too. Different climate.
yeah, I got to learn how
different-
to grow shit here. It's dry and windy, which is not two problems I've ever had to deal with before.
And then you have to deal with frost, right? Like when things
Well,
are going to
hopefully
happen.
that's done. We had like a little bit of one back in, let's say like mid-April, but like did one last little like dusting of sleety snow stuff, and then it's like going to be up to 85 tomorrow or something like that. So I think we're true and well into spring now.
Yeah. No, well, it definitely is for us. We're fluctuating. I don't know what that is for you, but we're going between like 15 and 25 degrees every day, but we're still going down to close to freezing. Not as much. Hang on. Let me find this out for you in your measurements here. 15
Yeah, I need it converted to freedom units, please.
Celsius to Fahrenheit. So 59 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's a
Wait.
nice comfy temperature.
Okay. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is because I'm thinking about it. And then like 22 degrees. Oh, hang on. Yeah, so it's like that to set like 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 22 degrees. So it's been really nice. And then around nighttime, we're going around 5 degrees. Oh, what's going on? Hang on.
Uh-oh.
And then at night it's going to around like 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, so it's nice. It's a really good springtime. Sorry, that took forever because Google was going nuts on me, but
No worries.
no, so it's been really nice. So what have I done? My lavender has been one of my lavenders I've been trying to save for the past 2 seasons.
No.
So one of them's gotten really woody. Another one's still nice and thick, but it was woody when we got here, a little too long. So I got last year I got 2 new English lavenders. I like the English lavender because it's nice and long, right? The blooming's nice and long and it lasts a long time. And even after the plant kind of dies away, it smells. The English lavender is just my favorite out of all the lavenders. So I got 2 brand new English lavenders. I have garden. So my driveway kind of comes to the house in the middle of the house. And so on each side of the driveway, I have maybe a 3-foot wide garden on each side.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so the English lavender's on the front. So I have the old woody version English lavenders, behind the brand new English lavenders
kind of
that I
hide
planted.
them a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean the old ones are still way bigger, right? Because they're like really old. And then this year was the year where I was like, okay, the English lavenders, the old ones are either staying or they're going. So one of them had to go. One of them,
Okay.
I wasn't willing to tolerate how much wood was there. And the other one would stay. So I bought another English lavender to replace that one. And then I put 2, what kind of sages are they again? Crap. I always remember. I've been going to the store for forever looking. Anyway, I bought 2 different I bought 2 of the same sages to put in between the lavender, which I quite like. They look very similar to an English lavender, but they just don't smell as nice, but they stay in bloom much longer throughout the season. Shoot, I wish I could remember, but I only have those notes outside. I bought 6 marigolds to put between the hydrangeas and the boxwoods that I have. I have another about 5-foot deep garden that runs in front of the house from the driveway. And so that I have some hydrangeas there, but I had to replace a hydrangea because it didn't last our really long winter. So I got a hydrangea, and I'm really excited for the hydrangeas because they change color based on the acidity of the soil. I love that stuff.
Blue and pink, right?
Yeah, for these ones, yes, that's right.
That's
and
cool.
so then I got different French marigolds, not African because just the climate. So I got different French marigolds, and that's in hopes of fighting wasps.
Yeah.
I want to see how efficient that is. Let's see. Bought a bunch of calla lilies. They're getting up there in price. They used to be the best, but now they're like getting to be like $4 per bulb, which is ridiculous.
Oh man.
Right. Well, especially when you want to flood your garden.
Do they
with
come
them full
back up or?
Oh yeah,
no?
yeah. They're perennial.
Oh, okay.
They're fantastic, and they bloom for a long time, which is why I like them. They're like a tulip in a way, but they stay in bloom for about 3 months, which is
nice.
amazing. Yeah. So there was that. I bit the bullet for $4 and bought myself a nice fuchsia plant. They're shade only, so it's going to die, but I tried to find a shady spot behind a chair.
Well, maybe it's a
because
tough
I really
one.
like them. Pardon?
Maybe it's a tough one.
I hope so, because I love fuchsias. They're just the purples and pinks are just gorgeous, but they are very shade heavy. So it won't last unless the chair stays where it is, if the family doesn't move it around. So I kind of want to see what happens. And then they got some edibles. Some of the stuff that I always screw up at the grocery store because my wife's the only one that likes tomatoes. I'm the only one that likes hot peppers. So it's easier to grow instead of like buying one tomato.
You just go out and get what you need. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You spend the 39 cents on seeds and then you have a lifetime supply for the 3 months that they bloom.
Anyways. Yeah.
That's right. And then all of a sudden then they die. Yeah. So, so it was a busy few weeks. And then of course we did some pruning. I can't wait for the azaleas to stop blooming. Azaleas, they're pretty when they bloom, but they drive me nuts. They bloom for about 3 weeks. And then they're the ugliest bush on the planet because there's so many flowers that are just dead.
Oh,
and there's no way you can't
they're just
them.
sloppy
There's thousands,
after, huh?
right? And then when they fall down, because a lot of them are going to fall down after, they're so like sticky. They're not just normal. I don't know. It's like they're like coated in maple syrup. It's nasty. Nasty. So I hate azaleas, but my wife loves them, and we have azaleas along 2 of the major walking ways getting from the garage to the house, or from the driveway to the house. I'm gonna hack those things back so bad.
Accidentally prune them to death. I don't know what happened, honey.
That's right. Well, that is exactly what's gonna happen. And then we have a huge bunch of lilac bushes in the back, which I love, but my
Yeah,
wife
I like
forgot to
lilacs
deal
too.
with them properly last year. And they're her babies. I'm not allowed to touch the lilacs. She's claimed them. But I told her that this year, if she forgets, that I'm going in without permission.
Oh no.
Yeah. That's it. That was it. That's me vicariously.
Well, I
now I'm
appreciate
watering
it.
thoroughly.
Thank you.
And I will find the name of the sage, because even if you don't care, I do. It drives me nuts that I can't remember the name of the sage. So that's about
Yeah,
that.
I'm looking forward to getting stuff started.
I'll send you some pictures.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
And then I'll have like drawings on the outside of what it's supposed to look like when the bushes are all full grown. That'll
Just
be beautiful.
Photoshop it all in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Why does it say Google Maps in the corner?
You take a picture of someone else's lawn, I wouldn't fucking know. Just be like, yeah, see how good
Wow,
it is.
nice
It's
job,
like
Ty.
some like fucking
Right.
$2 million home front yard. Like, yeah, man, I did all this.
That's funny. Well, it's funny with Google Photos because so for the longest time I wanted a variety of plants that would stay colorful or green throughout the winter as well, maybe even flower. Here it's a little bit difficult because we have really hot summers and quite cold winters.
Really brutal winters, yeah.
So there aren't that many plants to pick from, but there's 1,000 varieties of a plant or a tree called a camellia. And there's a lot of different varieties of it. And I'm like, oh, sweet. Okay, they're great. And like you can even have camellia varieties where like some of them are guaranteed, like they're going to bloom in November. And then there's some that are guaranteed in December and January. So you can have your whole garden kind of making sure that you have something blooming at a certain time of the year. And then of course there's summer ones as well. So I'm looking through at all the winter ones, and this is a bit ago. And I'm like, okay, I need to find, like, there's so many different kind of camellias, but these ones all look like my grandma's doilies. I don't want those kind of flowers. I want, a little bit something else. So I ended up getting quite picky with the camellias. And I was just about to spend like $70 ordering a couple of them to plant them and make them look nice. And I was so excited about it. And then I realized I'd never actually seen what a camellia tree looks like. All pictures were just of the flowers.
Right.
And when I started Googling what the trees actually look like, and it's funny because I never realized, I didn't notice what the actual bush or tree looked like. I got the descriptions, but I never actually saw it. They all looked so thin. None of them really looked like big, thick bushes. So for the longest time, thanks to Google and just how it shows us pictures, I did like a year and a half of studying on camellia, different trees and bushes and varieties, to realize that I didn't want any of them. And then I already had two in the back, but they were the two that I wanted to replace, but because they were so ugly. And then I realized that that was exactly what I was going to get. So thanks, Google. But anyway, Justin, welcome back.
Sorry.
No, don't be
As
sorry.
I was like
What
trying
it
to,
was.
I don't know why it does it, but sometimes Discord, when we do this, all of a sudden just turns my GPU up to 100%.
Oh,
And
okay.
I don't know why. And it's random. Like it's back down now to normal. But then obviously the fans kick up and it's louder and I'm trying to figure out what it was. And then when I go into some settings, sometimes I have an Elgato, I don't know, Cam Link 4K or something for this camera.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it just goes like, nah, you're done. And it just freezes the frame and it's super annoying. And then I unplugged it to plug it back in and then disconnected to come back into Discord. And when I opened up my edition, it was like, do you want to switch your source? I'm like, oh God. Please let me just hit no and keep recording. It did, thankfully.
The dreaded pop up.
Yeah.
Would you like to continue?
That's
Please,
right. I was like,
God,
don't do
please."
anything to wreck it.
The pop-up where it's like, are you sure you want to do that? But it doesn't
Yeah,
tell you
you're
like
like,
that
I don't know what I said.
That's great.
What does it mean?
Yeah. So anyway, I was fixing that. Yeah, welcome back. My week was garbage. My week sucks, man. I this back thing is just completely killing me. I was on the phone with the doctor today again and just trying to figure out some options and
GP?
adjusting some of the prescriptions that I'm on and picking up some different stuff tomorrow because there's other problems that have come from the stuff that I was on. But I'm going to go the private route. Well, it's like a weird private route within Canada. Apparently BC is the only province where you can't go private for seeing a neurosurgeon, but you can in all the other provinces in Canada, which is dumb. And there's something shady going on in BC, which I'm fine with. Just let me get into it somehow, like let me into the shade. So I'm working, I'm not even going to say where I'm going to go, but I am working with two different ones to potentially pay some money, get a consultation done, and then hopefully get it done sooner. So
in a van down by the river.
Yeah, that's the other problem is finding a neurosurgeon that you're trust and, has done the job before. So
yeah.
I think I'm going to end up going the fusion route or not the disc replacement. It's just too difficult to find disc replacement. And there's issues with the degeneration in the spine already. So that runs the risk that they can't do it anyway. So it's been brutal, like super bad pain all week. And some days are good, some days are bad. And today was brutal. So to the point where I was like, I'm not sure if we're going to do a podcast today because I don't know if I can stand, sit, lay down, whatever. So I am
pretty. If it gets to be too much, just we can wrap it up.
Yeah, I'll do this or I'll just walk away and you guys continue. We'll see. But I am pretty drugged up. So if I'm not saying things that if I'm saying things that don't make sense, just
hey, you're not that drugged up. You can fix yourself.
Just don't hit us with any more of those questions, okay?
Yeah, well, save that stuff for after dark.
Deleted episode.
It's a saved clip. I'll save it for one day.
I'm sorry you're going through that. That sucks.
Yeah,
and I hope you're able to figure out a surgical intervention here soon that's going to work for you and your lifestyle.
Yep, I've been told max 4 months, but I'm going to hopefully, once I see this particular person, have it within a month. So
is this a result of any sort of like flare up or issue, or is this just it's degraded to this point and now we have to do something about it?
So I have the degeneration that I've had forever, but like in the end of March, I was in Victoria and took a fall off of some rocks when I was climbing with the kids by the ocean and landed on the back, and something during that just made it infinitely worse. So I ended up going privately and got an MRI done. And that's when they found that I've got a herniated disc and disc osteophyte complex on the S1 and L5. So it's compressing the nerve at the S1. Like the bone spurs have actually grown into
so that's lower than
facet.
I thought it'd be. Damn. Okay.
Yeah. The herniated is L4,
L5. Your
L5.
legs too.
Oh, they're numb. Like they go numb, and my left leg is actually heavy. Like when I walk, it doesn't actually fully lift. Like it kind of drags while I'm walking. So yeah, I'm on nerve blockers, but they take a long time to kick in because you have to ramp up on them. So I thought I was at full dosage starting today. Ty, remember when we talked about like figuring it out? I'm not. I'm at the halfway mark of what she wants me to get to, but I'm now actually taking them fine. So the concerns of what they can do isn't a problem. So it's not going to cause me any problems down the road.
What is going to be your full dose?
Right now I'm on 6 pills per day. It will be up to 12.
Damn.
And once I'm done.
Are those covered?
I don't know. I think so. Yeah. Part of it. I don't actually know. Christina pays when we go, but I think they are like 80% or something. They're actually not that expensive. Thankfully. Like they're not crazy expensive. The other drugs.
Do you get them in batches of like half a day?
Well, I was supposed to talk with my doctor on Tuesday. Today was awful. I felt like garbage. And then I went and looked at the supply and I was like, I'm going to run out Sunday morning. Monday's a holiday. This is not happening. So I called their office and the girl was like, well, you can just call in. The pharmacy will give you an emergency supply. I'm like, can you guarantee that? Because if not, I want to talk to the doctor today.
Yeah. So, I don't want to spend Monday fucking dying. So.
No. So I talked to her today and there was a bunch of other stuff we needed to figure out too. So anyway, I'm at least feeling like I'm moving towards something, but it's not going to be fun because it's it's not close by where I'm going to have to go. So, but I don't care at this point. I will literally do anything and I will pay anyone nearly anything. I mean, there is a limit because I looked at some of those options in Germany and France and they're a little bit out of reach, but whatever. It's coming. It's getting there, but I'm just drugged, man. I'm like hazy all the time. I'm slow. Holy shit. It's so annoying. Sorry, Sophia, if you hear this, but slow. Like I can't process things very quickly and I'm not used to that at all. And it drives me bananas.
Like mental or just like reaction sort of stuff? Like
just my mind is slow.
Like can't like catch a ball.
No, the motor functions are fine, but like just my ability to like process and speak and like
it's like slurring. Speaking to an equal. Finally, it's great. Someone's as slow as me.
That's right.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's like the thoughts are there. I've got them, but just getting them out sometimes is like writing an email. Sometimes takes me 3 or 4 times as long because I'm not totally focused. It makes me so angry, and I typically have a very good memory. And Christina's like, "You're the one that's supposed to remember." I have so many notes in my calendar because I don't remember stuff now. So
maybe you have time for punctuation now.
no,
Zing!
this takes too much time. So anyway, hopefully we're moving forward. Hopefully I've got a direction, but this week was brutal. I worked from home all week on the couch, pretty much all of it. Like I just couldn't. Sitting hurts, standing hurts. It's just a mix. It didn't really matter what I was doing.
Comfortable when it's there.
When it's nerve pain, you can't do anything. Like literally nothing. There used to always be like a position I could get into, and I'd be like, okay, I can chill like this. Now it's like, well, this is less, but then you got to move, you got to get up, because otherwise, my legs will go completely numb. Especially the left side goes like numb right down to the toes. So
damn,
fun stuff. But that's all right. We're getting somewhere. Hopefully in a week or two, I'll have some answers and
hopefully get your surgery scheduled soon and be.
Yeah, I got to get the console done first. Like hell. That's where they get their money. They want their money first. So I'm going to give them their money and then work my way through whatever their, I don't know, shady system. It's weird in BC how it works now because of the changes that were made a number of years back, but whatever, I'll take it. So yeah, my week. Sorry, I went on for a bit. It wasn't much. It really was not much at all this week. It just sucked.
I went on and on about mine, so it's only fair.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of messes.
Bunch of old timers. Bunch of geeks.
Bunch of fucking old shits.
Yeah.
Like,
so I assume no one except for me did any lawn stuff this week.
I think you're gonna be the lone holdout of the lawn stuff.
I turned my sprinkler on. Does that count?
Yeah.
From my app on my phone.
That is strategic lawn management.
That's right. When you're as old as us, that's a lot of effort. That's good.
I hit the button on the app.
Oh,
what'd you do? What are you doing with your lawn, Ty?
You have a button on an app for a sprinkler and you can't afford to go to Germany for a surgery? Come on.
Yeah, right. They're slightly different in price.
Whatever. No, I mowed my lawn and it was great. My wife mowed the lawn last week, which was fantastic. And it was weird because it's like the only chore I like. And so I was watching, but then I kind of like...
Was she doing it wrong?
No, she was doing it good. But it was quite long. She was doing it because anyway. But it was quite long, and so the battery only lasted for one of the lawns, and that was fine. That's what I was expecting, but it was weird. I was just in too much. I was having a bad medical concussion stuff, and so I just couldn't do it that day, and it needed to be done. And so she did the front lawn, and it was weird because I'm like standing there watching her, and after a while, she like she turns the lawnmower off and looks at me. She's like, "Are you supervising me?"
She's like, "What?"
I know you mow the lawn a lot, but I don't need to know.
That's
No.
awesome.
I've never actually seen the lawnmower work and like what the grass looks like until it's done.
Man, you missed a great opportunity to be like, I'm admiring. Come on. You missed it, Ty.
I'm keeping it PG.
Well, that corner over there just doesn't look right. So.
That's right. And then I criticized her for not wearing heels and a mini skirt while she was.
That's right.
Yeah,
yes, of course.
Geez.
Obviously.
Yeah. Come on, man. Everyone knows that's proper lawn mowing attire.
That's right.
I mean, you wouldn't be caught dead without your heels and a mini skirt, right?
It's true. Exactly. That's how Ty does it. Mm-hmm. That's why all the neighbors love him.
You gotta get your tan on while getting your grass
exactly.
cut.
And my coverall strap, I only have one done up. The other one's hanging down.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. But no, so anyway, it was, I actually got to watch the lawn get cut only for like a couple minutes because it was making her feel weird. Like I was supervising her. So, but I got to see how the
So you went inside and just pulled the blinds down.
That's exactly it. No one can tell when the person on the inside brings the blinds down.
Brings the blind down. That's right.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. And anyway, before we get into PoE, I also want to pass on that. Remember I was saying a couple episodes ago that my hydrangea, I hope I'm not a bad gardener. My hydrangeas just aren't lasting. They're looking really bad. 1.5 out of 3 were looking pretty iffy. Well, I went to the nursery when I went to go buy the other plants that I was buying, right? Like the other English lavender and the sage and all that kind of stuff. And I went to go replace one of the hydrangeas as well. And their hydrangeas looked just like mine. It felt wonderful. And the lady was saying that the hydrangea farms like lost half their stock because the winter was too long and too cold. So I felt bad for them for a moment. That's exactly it. But no, I felt bad for them for a moment, and then I was like, that feels
like,
good.
haha, get wrecked.
No,
shit too.
It's just I didn't do anything wrong. Is the point? And that's what matters. Not their business. My self-esteem of gardening. But anyway, this week in PoE was about as eventful as our lives this week. There was a fan art competition. There was a hideout showcase and a stash tab sale. That was the announcements. That's as far as we go. Exciting days at the end of the league in GGG land. Have you played
like
at
these
all?
little filler things though. I'm just a sucker for art in general. So
Yeah.
Most of what my Twitter is just following tons and tons of artists. I admire what people produce. So like the fan art competitions and stuff like that, I always love them when they post up stuff. It's always so cool.
Did you see them?
I haven't looked at them yet, but I will definitely. Yeah. I played a little bit at the beginning of the league, and then I got sick, and things did not proceed well from there.
Sure. They're in the.
But to be completely honest, I wasn't really feeling.
You see them in the chat there?
Which one are we looking at?
This?
Just in the podcast channel.
No, but the art or the what? What are we?
Yeah,
looking
sorry.
at?
We're already done. But
Okay.
that was the week, Jess. That was the week.
The chat.
There wasn't much this week.
The fan art and showcase. That's it.
Stash tab sale. In our private league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But BK's looking at the fan art right now. So don't interrupt the artistic appreciation, Justin.
Seems like people are digging Aramore. Lots of pictures of him.
Yeah.
Who's the girl? Oh, Scion. Oh, it's just a Scion. Okay, cool. Wait, are these winners? Is it done?
I think this is just a competition highlight. So still underway.
I read that wrong. Yeah.
Some of the ones that are being put out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Man, what a slow week. I guess that makes sense.
It's great. So yeah, we're getting to the end. If it's going to be a 3-month schedule like they think they're on, we're coming near the end, right?
Yeah.
What week are we on? Hang on.
I don't know what is time anymore.
Get out of here, fandom.
It was April, I think, that it started.
March 29.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Was it really? Okay. So we're like 6 weeks?
This is our 7th week today as recording.
It's not going to be a 3-month league.
The 24th is 2 months.
I mean, it would be good for them if it was a 3-month league, because I know this one's not been the greatest for them retention-wise, but...
Yeah. I wonder if that'll have any sort of effect on if they try and push something out or give it an extra month.
Mark's just running through the office. Hurry up!
He's got a pot and he's banging it with a spoon. Come on!
That's right. June 21st is the start of the next league if they're on their 3-month schedule.
I guess we'll see.
I mean, they are quiet enough for them to be working hard on the next content. But
yeah, true.
I mean, this league, not a criticism to the league. It wasn't for me, so I didn't delve deep into it. But
can we just do a quick little overcap of how you guys felt about it? Because we didn't get to talk about it, and
sure,
I haven't been.
Yeah, that's true. Did you play it much?
Shit. I played it for the first couple of weeks, kind of hard. I didn't really like the grave crafting, but my buddy and I wanted to do some duo MF, just like chill and hang out stuff. So I was more enjoying that, like the new scarab systems and playing around with all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was all right, but my biggest complaint was just like there was way too much fiddling. Like I just want to play a fucking game, right? Like putting in 6 all flames and all the scarabs and then choosing all the mods and swapping everything around. It's just like, come the fuck on, man.
Yep.
It was a lot. Way too fiddly for me. And I love it. They're like, we've simplified everything about mapping. It's going to be so much more straightforward. Now you can boost whatever mechanic that you really love. And then they're like, and then we're going to also introduce 3 other steps that you have to do since we're eliminating the 3 steps you had to do anyways.
I like the change that they did with the scarabs like that. And last week and multiple weeks, Ty and I have talked about the fact that it's just too much. It's like, for me, it reminded me of Harvest when they first announced it. And I was like, the grave crafting thing seems too much.
You're referring to the specifically
the grave craft.
Like they take a really interesting crafting system and then introduce it in probably the worst possible way. Like Harvest. When it was introduced, like I fucking love Factorio, but I did not like Harvest.
Well, you're not playing PoE to play Factorio. That's like one of the problems is sometimes, and I think we've talked about it, Ty, you've talked about it specifically with like Blight and stuff, but like to try and introduce, I don't know, they knew Harvest didn't work.
And it didn't work because of micromanagement, not because of anything else. Sure, it broke the game, but that's irrelevant to the crafting aspect. Today's Harvest exists because the majority, as far as GGG is concerned, hated the micromanagement. So why would you make a league loaded with micromanagement? Sure, it's nowhere near as complicated as what was it, Synthesis or Harvest, but it's still one of those things where it requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of planning, and it just, I don't know.
Well, if you talk just specifically about the grave crafting side, I would say it's on par with some of the most confusing to min max that they've ever come out with. The ability to actually like properly build a min max piece of gear is bananas. Like, okay, this is where you need to place this type of thing, and you need X amount of this
Harvest
thing.
was like that too in certain ways, though, where like it was also a spreadsheet with boxes and color coordination, and like this had to be put here and that had to be like it just turned into Harvest within a week.
It did.
You could have done the league
it
with
was just copy pasting the same. Yeah.
You could have done the league without the Necropolis. I think even just the introduction of the All Flames and the planar out the map. While I do agree there is that, not necessity, but that feeling of needing to like adjust it or whatever. I don't know. This was not a great league for me. I didn't overly enjoy really any of the mechanics. I thought the coolest part of the league, Ty and I have talked about this, was that before you entered the map, you could see the mobs and what type of damage they do. And like you got information that you've never known previously about enemies you were going to fight.
Right. I like the idea that it's almost like this tutorial phase, right? Like I could see it if it had been better fleshed out as a way of like getting that new player tutorial that has been lacking from PoE for so long, where it's like, okay, well, what killed me there? And then you can mouse over a monster in a map because you can like mouse over the all flame thing and see it's like, oh, okay, so that guy casts like whatever damage, and you're like, oh, okay, so that's what killed me.
Yeah. I think Ty and I are both probably on similar pages to what you just mentioned. I burnt out of it really quick, just because I play the league for the league stuff, and I didn't care for the league stuff.
Yeah, fair.
I love the scarabs. I love I do love the scarabs.
I like how the all flames were synergistic with scarabs, and I think if that had been more like a sentinel sort of thing, sentinel sort of thing, rather than like a place and drop,
like tree-based type idea. Yeah,
like if it had been like, okay, so you find this all flame and it follows you for a little while, and then it haunts certain stuff, and you get bonuses based off of like what it is. Like something that was more organic to the mapping experience, I think would have been awesome, because then it could have still been synergistic, or like maybe you could have looted them and chosen like the sentinels, like when you wanted to use certain ones. Like, okay, I found a scarab all flame. I'm going to put all my like scarab generating stuff into the map and then run it and then generate all this kind of stuff. And it would have been like completely passive, right? Like it would have haunted random stuff, lots of scarabs. Yay.
Yeah, my scarab problem was just there were so many of them, and then they kept introducing more of them. And in the end, I feel like even with this is just a personal thing for me, but when I tend to play end game, I tend to have a direction I want to go, or I have a type of play style I want to play, or particular content I want to add. And there was just so many scarabs, some that you couldn't even target. You could target like 9 of them, I think, or I don't remember how many it was. I don't need somebody to call me out, but if I wanted to play, like I wanted to play certain types of, exactly. I know, I'm aware that I'm wrong, commenter. So I've admitted it. You don't need to tell me, but there were some that you couldn't target. And so it was like, well, I wanted to play that, but now I can't. And now I've got all these other scarabs, but I don't necessarily want to put them on. And I don't want to go on to, I don't know what the things are, the TFTs and the discords and the trades. And I don't want to do that. Like, I love that they got rid of sextants for that whole reason, that I wasn't like, oh my God, I got to go and try and buy these terrible things. It was nice that you could throw them on, but when I really wanted to focus on something, I was running out of scarabs for the content that I wanted to add. But I do think it was a good change overall. I think there's ways they can
improve it further.
Finesse it.
It's tough, right? Because you want a lot of different scarabs in case you change your strategy. Like there's a lot of different ways to play. There's a lot of different things to focus on. So you want there to be that variety. But at the same time, if you already know what you want to do, there's like 1,000 other scarabs going on, or you have no idea what you want to do. You're not familiar with tons of content. Do you know how overwhelming like
That scarab
100
tab is
different.
big.
It is, and if you don't know one scarab from another, and you're just figuring things out, you're like, man, like that's the whole end game. It's maps and scarabs now. That's it. And so that tab is huge, and you're going through like, oh, what's this? What's this? What's this? But there's just so much to go through. I think they did a great job at improving and accommodating the Atlas passive tree with all the scarabs, but it's one of those things where it's still half done. I understand that they had a ton of work to do because of the big change, but because the game is so deep, it still needed more time. Like half the content, there's so much more extra content now, even the extra content, capital EC, because even the masters are now considered extra content as far as I'm aware. But it's now, there's just so much, as Justin was saying, there's some things that you can't focus on, but in the same regards, there's some things you can't block. And so there's still a lot of things that I'm getting that I'm not interested in. Now that is a petty criticism because don't worry, man. It's the kids' bedtime.
Ty's phone.
That alarm went off. I thought D&D worked for everything. I keep forgetting, despite the fact that this probably happens every single after dark, even though this is the main episode. So the last movie I went to, my alarm to put the kids to bed went off in the middle of the theater.
That's awesome.
Shh.
Yeah.
Shut up! I have to call my kids and tell them to get to bed.
I agree with you on the Atlas passive. I actually think their Atlas passive tree change with the 3 Atlas passives, when that was probably my favorite change ever. But I was just confused, and there wasn't any answer or reasoning from them. Like, was the plan every league that which scarabs you could target were going to change, which ones you could block were going to change? I just didn't understand, like, why can I not target blight scarabs? Yeah. Why can I target other extra content, but you've chosen maybe, like for me, I was playing blight. I couldn't target blighted scarabs, and I just was a little confused as to, like, I wonder what their reasoning was for picking and choosing which ones they did. Yeah. So anyway,
I think it just needs to be more fleshed out, and it probably will be. I'm sure the scarabs will get to a place where they want it as well. Yeah. But I mean, it's the first league. It's the first league having multiple Atlas passive trees, which is really cool. And it's their first league having a league specific Atlas tree where it included the league content. For me to answer BK's question, I'm never a league lover. I don't play for league. I'm totally fine with just the core game over and over again. So for me to like a league, it needs to be entertaining and enjoyable, and the corpse crafting was tedious on a regular basis, and it was better to ignore for me corpse crafting. I know the power that can come from it, but it's irrelevant to me. I want to keep playing the game, and there was just too much there, and the game throws enough rares at me already that I'm fine. I mean, it's all going to be garbage anyway, unless I'm actually going through the micromanagement, but that's not why I play. I absolutely loved seeing the enemies and what they were at the beginning of every instance. Absolutely love that. But then, because it's typical GGG and their definition of quality of life is different than any other human being on the planet, it was frustrating for me that after 10 years, this is the first time we've been introduced to actual enemy details in the game.
They're prepping for PoE too. They're building a database.
I know, but it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, it's there. I love that it's there, but it could have always been. Like, it's not difficult content to, like, you have a bestiary book of all the enemies that you've met, right? You know. So anyway, it's just hopefully, and this is something they acknowledged, not necessarily they said they're going to do anything with, but it's something like, I remember Jonathan kind of looking over and being like, and I think this is the first time we've actually, shown enemy stats on screens and stuff like that. So I'm, hopefully PoE 2, but for me overall it was fine. But it's more of a standard game, and the scarabs, I think at the end of the day, like, sure, we have the things that we think that the scarabs could improve upon, but it, to me, greatly improved what endgame was, especially for a newer player.
I hope that going forward, they don't do more of the forced league mechanic. And I heard, I was listening to somebody today who I really like that was streaming, who said that they kind of like the idea of forced league mechanic because that's, that's why you play the league and it being in there. My feeling though is if the league mechanic is good, I'm going to engage in it. And if it's not, I don't want to be forced to engage in it. And you need to make the league mechanic or whatever it is engaging. And I want to feel like I want to play it, not like you're making me play it. And I thought it was a little odd to throw it in where you were forced to do it right from the get-go.
I agree too. Just because like you having the "oh fuck, I've gone too far" button, like it exists for Delirium, is such a nice like, I'm gonna see how far I can get. Oh, it's a bit too much, and then like you can just end the Delirium, or like, you know, I feel like maybe something like that would have been a bit better, because like at least even with, you know, the one we had before, Affliction, like you could choose not to, you could just choose not to go in.
Yep.
And like that sucked, and you didn't want to, but like you still had like control over like the content that you were doing and the amount of danger that you were putting your character into. And this was the first league that was non-optional. Like you did not get the decision to, like, it was like, what am I going to do? Just stick to lower tiers forever? Like that doesn't feel nice. Like I know I can handle it, but I just can't handle like that plus this extra difficulty. Or if you have like a character that has a very specific like defensive weakness, and it's like you spend an entire map getting punished by crits or something like that, it doesn't feel good, especially because the way it lines up with certain monster mods too. So
would you guys play the game if the league didn't interest you? Like, should they care if somebody doesn't like the league?
Well, you're just,
like, so you're talking about forcing or not forcing league content, but if you're only playing for the league and you don't like the league, are you going to play the game? Because if they think those players aren't going to play the game, it's irrelevant if league content is forced or not, right?
I just don't think they've never done it before where you're forced to play the league ever. Like there's never been a time where the league mechanic is forced on you. And I just feel like your league mechanic should be good enough that I want to engage with it. My answer to your question is no. If I don't like the league, I'm not going to play, period. But when you force it on me, you may push me out of that even faster. If I'm not ready for Betrayal is a great example of it. Betrayal was thrown into the areas and in the beginning was very, very hard. That made me at the beginning go like, why am I playing this? This is ridiculous. You force
assassinated left and right. Yeah. Your character's got like fucking blues on still.
Exactly. You've got like minus 60 chaos and you're trying to figure out what the fuck is killing me. That's not
pretty crazy.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is like when the league mechanic is released in a good way where I want to engage with it, I'm going to play with it longer. I think when you force it on somebody, you may get them to that burned out phase, or that just, I don't want to do this earlier than had they been able to try to engage with it when they're ready for it. Or quite often their league mechanic comes out overtuned. It's relatively common that the league mechanic comes out pretty strong.
Always, yeah.
Right. So give me the option to like get my guy ready instead of just getting completely creamed by, you know, this new league mechanic that you've come out with, especially because I do feel like when the league mechanic is engaging, people are going to engage in that league mechanic and stick around longer. If you're forcing them into it, you run the risk that if the league mechanic's overtuned or not ready,
punishing them into quitting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just thought it was such a weird decision too, considering how many decisions have been made, I would say, even within the last year, between the quality of life stuff and the different in-game systems getting changed and everything like that, where there's been so much focus on player agency. And then to bam, league, sorry, gotta play it. It's in every single area. Don't care, no button, bye.
I was saying to Ty,
it's so weird and dissonant.
I didn't understand why they didn't just add a button within the load for the map or the zone that just ticks off that you're accepting that you're turning it off. You're not going to get the bonuses from it, but you're not going to get the difficulty. Mm-hmm. Just add that. It seemed weird to me, like just put that in there. If I don't want to engage with, like Ty, you and I were talking, I think last week or the week before, you want to put the map in and you want to just go. And you couldn't because there was that extra step. And granted, it's very, you know, it's such a minuscule thing to complain about. There's an extra click, but the fact is there's extra clicks required to just start your map, unless you take that one node in the Atlas passive, but you were also losing now on all of the all flames dropping and other things. But giving someone the ability to just, if you're going to make it a forced thing, give me the choice to turn it off if I don't want to engage with it.
Yeah.
What about the mentality from GGG of if you don't want anything to do with the league mechanic, just create a character in standard?
their focus is never standard though. They want people to play in the league mechanic. The thing is, I don't have to engage with the league mechanic to take advantage of things that come with the league, especially if I'm playing in trade league. I can play a trade league and play the way I want to play, not engage in the league mechanic at all. I do this all the time, but be able to buy the items or the things that come from that league mechanic. So I think giving people the option to choose whether they want to engage with it or not is a better choice than what they did this particular one. So
makes sense.
I would be surprised to see that part stick around, where you're clicking on the thing before you enter a zone, or you're getting that pop-up when you click on a map. I'd be really surprised to see that.
I hope it goes core. I love it.
No
way. You're crazy.
I'd be happy for like the thing that's like you can mouse over to like figure out what's in the map, like after you're in the map. That like if it wants to stay around like that, where it's completely just like informational, fine. But don't make me like confirm shit before. Like I've already put the shit. I rolled the map. I put it in there. I got all my scarabs. I put them in there too. I've clicked all the map device option I want. Like let me fucking play the video game.
Yeah, information wise, I would like for them to keep the monster info somewhere.
Exactly.
Like, that would be
like
great to have.
Can, like, even if it's like a toggle where like all they do is like make that symbol show up again. If you toggle it in your settings, and then you can mouse over that to figure out like what monsters are in the map, and then like mouse over the portraits of each one, and then it tells you, like the abilities that they do. Cool. Yep. Like that would be great. Yeah.
That would be cool if they had that both within the specific instance that you're in, along with having just an information manual for within the game for all the monsters you've met, all the enemies.
I would love to see that, because they have the images. Yeah. Exactly. Well, yeah.
I fucking lost it the first time I saw the menu with all the like the fucking monster portraits. Like some guy sat there in like a 3D modeling program and took screenshots of all these little guys. Like,
which means they have it now.
How should I make this guy look? And like, did they pose them? What was like was it something that was really quick, or did they really spend some time on it? I don't know.
I hope they spent time and that it was for PoE too. I don't think I ever looked at them enough to see if they were funny, but my hope is that was all planning for the next game. Yeah. For them to have some sort of Rolodex of the enemies you were going to fight.
Yeah, because I mean, it makes sense to try and put some sort of tutorial into the game, considering like, of course, when PoE 2 comes out, there's going to be a huge influx of new players, right? So like the more accessible your game is, the better. And I think like Last Epoch getting all the praise that it did for its, help system and like its crafting system and everything being like really transparent, I think is definitely kind of like setting a standard as far as like, what is the new player experience supposed to be? And so like using a league to make the excuse to develop your player tutorial, like it makes sense, right? It's double dipping on content. Not only are you providing something for league players, you're also creating something that you need to make anyways. And hopefully. So I hope it stays away. Like, I mean, it makes sense, right? Because, you get feedback on it. How much of this information being displayed is useful? How much of it wasn't? Did people really engage with it? Did, depending on how certain mods got shifted around, did people learn what dangerous abilities were? And like, I mean, I think it could. I think it very well could have been a success in that regard, but I guess we won't ever see the statistics and engagement side of things that they may be able to track.
Yeah. It's an interesting league. I'm glad they tried it. It's pretty neat. And it'll be curious to see where they go with the next league with 325, because of the big success that the previous league had, 323. And then, of course, for whatever the reasons are, the retention is low for 324. So where did
I hope they don't go with 323. Sorry.
Well,
I hope they don't go the direct. Well, like just a crazy MFing style league.
I think I don't think you can have those leagues very often. I mean, it's neat to be able to talk about in the past, but I don't think they're healthy for the game. They give players such a
league like once in a while, okay, but should not be consistent.
And it's 2 in a row. When you focus on corpse crafting, you're getting absolutely absurd gear, right? It's like people are talking about both leagues in a row being broken now, but we've had so many in the past where it's just crazy and crazy and crazy, and the expectation for what a build should normally be doing, I don't think people have a clue. The majority of the people, like content creators, sure, people that make builds, but for a lot of the people that don't make their own builds and they're just following, there's this expectation of crazy pinnacle content that doesn't get reset every league. You know what I mean? I think it's much more healthy as somebody who's actually making a game to keep people down to earth on a regular basis, and every now and then let them drive the Ferrari, but then bring it back down to all right. Here's your normal Civic. Just chill out.
That'll be interesting to see.
Sedan, all right.
Yeah, that's right. In a van down by the river.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with the next one, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, and I am looking forward to it. Hopefully it is in 3 months because it is a slow league. But
I would imagine they would like it to be. I don't know what would have all of a sudden swapped out in the last year and a half where they're like, all right, starting now, we're doing 3 months.
yeah. It was interesting. I forget which GGG employee it was that was getting interviewed, but they had a quick comment. It wasn't like the point of the comment. It was just something that happened in the conversation where they said something along the lines of, yeah, we've only had a couple of 4-month leagues. So 3-month leagues is the standard. That's what it's going to be. And whoever was interviewing was kind of like, you could see the face and you're like, no, it's been like 5 leagues in a row where you've been doing 4-month leagues.
The thing is, when you say it's only 5 or when you say it's 5, I mean, that is only a few. It's just that when they're 4-month leagues, you're talking literally the last year and a half that we've been playing the game has been 4 months. So
yeah. But then you get someone like Jonathan when he's asked how many PoE 2 interviews he's done. And he's like, oh, I don't know, maybe like 2, 3, 4. And you're like,
I'm not sure the numbers is their thing.
20, 30, 40, maybe. So it's just, I don't know what it is. So hopefully there's just like a little bit more, what's the word? There's a relevance to kind of like I forget what the word is, but there's a relevance to kind of the attitude of not really knowing versus where they're actually at. Obviously PoE 2 is the big focus and you're just trying to retain people until for some reason they're keeping PoE 1. To me, that doesn't show a lot of confidence in PoE 2, but you never know, right? You never know. But it's at the same time, just as long as they're learning from it and they're going for it. You know I
don't think them keeping PoE 1 has much of a relevance to them coming out with PoE 2. I will be shocked if they maintain PoE 1 in the way that they think they're going to.
That's what I'm saying, just fair. In general.
Yeah.
If they keep it as a dead game and you can play it whenever you want, fine. But to maintain 2 games like that when they could barely maintain the first.
Well, I mean, I feel like if that's the case, we're just going to have more leagues like these last 2, right? Where there's some like pretty good ideas, but the execution, the thought and follow through is not really going to be there. And then maybe they'll be fine with that in the way that they've been trying to kind of curb crazy leagues. Like maybe there's less, when Harvest didn't go core and all that other kind of stuff. Like maybe they just don't care anymore about like upsetting certain systems within standard, and whatnot. Like maybe they introduce crazy ass shit and then that's just how PoE 1 is. It's the place where all the crazy ass shit happens. And then PoE 2 is more contained and balanced and all that other kind of stuff. Yeah.
I think
maybe PoE 1 just becomes the playground.
Yeah. I feel like the idea that they're going to keep and maintain PoE 1, though, it just falls into the same category for me as the comments of ExileCon 1, PoE 2 is coming, ExileCon 2, we've got the beta in June 7th. Like, it's just things that are said, but maybe not totally thought all the way through. And I would be shocked if they can get to the point where PoE 2 comes out, it's successful, they're running leagues, and then they're also going to offset and try to maintain multiple leagues.
I think it comes down to what is the next major development thing. Do they chill for a while and maintain both games? Or are they going to start immediately working on like PoE 3?
Yeah.
I'm serious. Because what they put out, the reason why Acts 5 through 10 fucking suck is because they started immediately working on PoE 2. Like the reason why the second half of PoE 1 isn't that great and didn't have voice lines for forever and reads like a fucking 14-year-old's power fantasy. I kill gods. Like, it's just the reason why that didn't come together, I think, in ways that they probably wanted to with the depth and like nuance that the early acts had, was because PoE 2 started. As soon as 3.0 dropped, they started working on PoE 2. So,
I would rather see them just dump PoE 1 and put all that effort into 2. And you make this game that you're hyping up for the last like 17 years be
It's been
worth
dating
that
for
hype.
years. Yeah.
Like,
No, I
put
get
that
you. I
effort
feel
into it.
Yeah.
Good
We'll
Lord, I
see.
can't even imagine if they're like, PoE 3 is coming.
I don't know. Like, that's the question. I feel like that's the biggest question for me is like, all right, so what are you guys going to do? Like, as soon as PoE 2 is launched, what's the agenda? Are we splitting into 2 teams and having a dedicated team to each game and then moving forward and, chilling for like a couple of years and then starting development on something else? Like, what? We'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
I think if they split into 2 dedicated teams for each game, because they've hired people, a lot of people. There's been plenty of hiring, I would say. But the problem is that everyone's stretched so thin trying to do everything. So if they restructure, get some good, management out there and get everyone dedicated and focused on their, tasks instead of switching everyone around to, the current development and creation of PoE 2 into sort of more maintenance and league creation modes, I think they could pull off maintaining both games. But I think it would come at the cost of developing something else.
Yep, maybe. It seems confusing to me. Why continue to maintain such an old game? Why not put your focus into your new one and just let PoE 1 exist as it is, and it's free and you can play it, but it's basically standard. You just play your character.
I guess they just don't want to lose the people that have been around for so long that love one for everything that it is and aren't interested into the way that like I'm really interested into because it's a slower game. And like my biggest gripe and like my biggest like disconnect from PoE as it exists now is just like I'm not a player that wants a fast game anymore. Like I mean like sure I like playing MF and having fast movement speed, but like the kind of like dopamine, like need it kind of like mapping experience where you sit down, you blast out like 200 maps. Like that's not how I like to play anymore. And so I'm looking forward to 2 and the fact that it's kind of like more arcade, like I guess if you want to think of it that way. And yeah, I guess maybe there's a fear of when we release this new product that is very different from our first game, like we want to have this other thing where people will still play. We don't want to lose anybody or lose any support. We need to maintain our numbers and pay all these people that we've hired. And so it'll be, of course, the big boom when PoE 2 launches, but like you kind of don't know what the future is going to hold for like PoE 2's leagues, right? They only have data for one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I think you got to have a little bit of faith like in your game if you're going to come out with it to just be like, it's weird to me that any player base person could be like, I'm not playing PoE 2. I'm going to stick with 1. Like, what? You haven't even played it. Like I could understand that like 6 months into the PoE 2 release going like, it just isn't for me or I've tried it or whatever. It's weird to me that people have this like feeling
automatic
of
aversion to it.
Right.
Yeah. Like, fuck that. I'm not playing that. It's not for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see eventually.
Yeah.
At some point.
Sometime. Please
it's
give us
coming.
beta.
Now, we had our private league this week, but
started today.
We're not avoiding conversation on the private league on purpose. It's just, Justin, you didn't get a chance to play, did you?
I did play it.
A little bit? Okay. Did you want to talk about it now or do you want to save it for next week?
No, we chat. We played.
I got to the end of Act 2. I couldn't stay awake today. I don't know if it was... sweet. I don't know if it was health stuff or if it was just playing the game. Because the first
tired today when you were playing.
I was dead. I couldn't even stay awake. But Act 2 is really tough. It's all lightning and like constant spark, constant like archer lightning shots, whatever it is. It's all in dungeons. So it's dark background, then bam, 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 all this bright light. So Act 2 is always tough for me, but yeah, it was extraordinarily difficult. So I only got to the end of Act 2. So I'm fine if you want to wait until next week.
Well, what are you playing? You may as well talk about it. By next week, it's almost over. And we are not going to be playing it by the end of next week. I can tell you I won't be. There's no chance I live through that long. I will tell you what I'm playing. My plan is to go with explosive arrow ballistas if I get that far. I'm leveling with splitting steel duelist right now.
And what do you need to get that far?
I think level 28. I don't know if you can actually switch over very well at 28, but I'm going to kind of figure it out as we go. We have the modifiers for this private league where 40% more monster life and no rares or magic items drop. I love I love that the complaint so far from people with their struggles has been the monster life and not
that's the way I would have the game by default.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. Like, yeah, the fights are longer. You've got to be very concerned about detonate dead. But I love that because Tyler and I picked those options in an After Dark. And the consensus between the two of us was probably that people would be more upset with me picking no rares and magic items. But it's just cracked me up that people are like, who picked Monster Life?
Yeah, it's our lowest attended private league ever. You're very welcome.
Well, we switched things up this time. We didn't do monetary prizes. We tried to switch it up this time to make things a little more feasible. And it's just for Discord ranks, which, I mean, it's a big deal. Legend, Uber Legend. So that could play a part in it too, which is fine. It's all right. But it's definitely one of our harder solo self-found hardcore leagues we played in quite some time.
Fantastic. I can't
tell you. The very first private league we ever did, it was the no magic, no rares, and like not having any fucking materials and not being able to break stuff down into alts, because this was before the alt card existed too. Like all the different alt cards that are out there now. So like nobody had any fucking crafting materials, and like I traded this belt, or someone traded me this like amazing belt for literally 200 alts.
Yeah, that was the
if
gold
I had
currency.
if I had merged into the league and sold the belt, it would have been like a fucking, well, I mean, like it was back in Exiled, so like a 40 div belt for fucking 200 alts. That's how desperate everyone was for them. So I'm surprised. I'm genuinely surprised to hear that it's all the Monster Life complaints.
The reason that I was
crafting.
Oh,
sorry,
that's
go ahead.
True.
Yeah, well,
true,
that's
brave.
it. To me,
Crafting.
I thought it was a pointless mod to throw because people could still get their rares. Tons of rares
don't say pointless. Right? That's a bit of a dig at me, a little bit rude, but
that's exactly the same thing I said before. It's not a new dig.
It's a new dig. Also, that was After Dark digs. This is more public digs, Tyler.
Yeah, this is main episode digs.
Yeah.
I mean,
basically
rude.
Basically, the things that I like are better, and the things that I don't like aren't better.
Well, so far the consensus has been not. That's about it. You can get them through that
grave crafting,
and there's way more essences now. In fact, as of this league, there's way more essences.
Yeah, I forgot. There's also, the whole Atlas passive thing has been implemented since that first league too. I mean, it used to be an absolutely brutal mod.
Even just going through the campaign now. I mean, you go to do Dweller of the Deep, you're getting a guaranteed essence. You get there's a lot more essences.
The campaign changes. I think they're really cute.
Agreed.
I love them.
Yep. So anyway, it's been
out right by Fairgraves. All right.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, they have the campaign changes they've made are really good, but it's been fine for me so far. But it was funny. I was having this moment with myself because I sometimes do that as I was playing, laughing to myself at the idea of saying to Tyler, man, do you have any idea how hard it is to play when you can't like focus and your brain's hazy and you feel slow?
That was my thought. My shoes, bitch.
That's right. That's exactly
Justin,
right.
I have some one button builds for you where you don't have to focus.
It was the reaction time where I was like, I should move. I didn't move.
Yes, you're supposed to. You know you're supposed to, but you just couldn't get there.
Yeah,
Nope.
So I'll be surprised. I was impressed to make it through Act 1. I'm just going to kill the Oversoul for Act 2. That's where I'm at currently. I didn't get very far. I could barely sit today, so I sat for the little bit that I could and then laid on the couch and worked. So what were you playing? How's it gone for you so far? Did you die at all?
The Oversoul one's actually a tough fight for me because you assume it's physical damage, but there's nothing in the game that tells you. It's rocks, and it's like this big hand that hits down and slams. You assume it's all physical damage, but you don't know. But because the slam is so big, it is one of those where I actually have to focus more than any other boss in the campaign. Because,
almost all of his moves are like that too, like the laser.
Yeah,
right?
you have to constantly move when he's doing the laser stuff, or otherwise he'll clip you.
It's true, but and it's bad, and it's not like it's a poor fight, but it's bad for me because it doesn't suit the game because it's too tall, and with the icons that you can get on your screen, it can cover the boss a lot as well. So there are times where you can't see which attack is coming until it's already started to happen. So you have to be close to the boss, for me anyway, to see what it's going to be. But without a Quicksilver Flask, you have to recognize the slam right away because the AoE is so big, and you're like, whoa. But one of the consequences to playing a minion build like myself is it's not guaranteed to come towards me. So then there's that.
Right, could go to a minion.
So I might be running away like through the boss to get to the other side, but then it's like, no, he's
like,
going to the
swap!
minions, and I'm like,
Yeah, exactly.
run away. So it is actually one where I have to focus.
I would guess lasers would be really bad for that too.
It's
because
you have to run close. It's one of those.
Can he target minions for that too? Yeah. I think he can. Yeah,
which works well. But you never know if it's going for the minion yourself, so you always assume it's you. But the one that's actually really tough, the one that I panic on, is the slam, because I got to get out of there without movement speed, and you have to catch it right away or you're toast. But then it's the rocks,
because there's no telegraphing
there's no
at all.
discernible pattern or like AoE indicator.
You also can't even tell where it's hitting.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sometimes you don't think
it's a two-dimensional thing falling onto a 3D landscape, and you're like, I don't know what's happening at all. You just run away.
Listen, I failed Trig. Okay, come on.
Yeah.
But then you run away, and then all of a sudden it's like, bow,
yeah, you're getting hit. You're like,
with the beams. You're like, no, I gotta. So it's that one's the one where I always have to focus. The one that I thought I was gonna don just because of 40% monster life. The Weaver.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Oh man,
it was all fine.
Yeah.
Did you? Good for you.
With Monster Life, I actually had to check to make sure that you didn't take off, that you didn't like mess
that
around,
because
I didn't double check your stuff.
Got to make a note for that next time.
That's right. But the game didn't feel any different to me as I was going through it, and I'm like, so I had to actually bring up the list like we were in mapping, and it says 40% more Monster Life, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's there, but it didn't feel different. The only time it ever felt different was against magic monsters, not against uniques or rares or normal, just against magic. And magic to me are the most annoying monsters in the game. They're just, it's weird. It's like they're all given a massive life multiplier, and they're given the most annoying mod for that specific base type of an enemy, but there's 6 of them, not one like there would be for a rare. And they're just the most annoying things on the planet. Like you get haste on a ghoul, screw you, GGG, from the bottom of my heart, right?
Or the tentacle ladies with +2 proj, and there's a whole pack of them.
So anyway, but I noticed it with the magic, but all I did was I went to Clarissa, and then I got to Act 3, and then I turned it off. What is it, Clarissa?
I saw that. I think where the most not complaining, but the people that were laughing or mocking the idea of the more Monster Life was the fact that there was now this Force League mechanic that quite often rolls with like 50, 100% more enemy life, like because they roll that and then they get the 40% more Monster Life. So if you're not paying attention to that thing, you could be in a bit of trouble.
Meat sacks must be like raid bosses.
Yeah, they just don't die. They're just a pet. You just make sure you stay far enough ahead of them so that they just follow you as a pet.
That's right.
Free MTX League.
Yep.
I'm having a good time with it. Every corpse I get, I'm telling the dude to come get it, cart it away. Then I go to the place, and unfortunately, the UI for the guy sucks on Controller Sport. I don't know what it's like on mouse and keyboard, but there's no quick button when you go to interact with the guy to go to the what's it called, the necropolis? No, what's it called? Is it the necropolis? The grave?
I think so.
There's no quick button. I have to go up and I have to talk to him, and then I have to
go from the waypoint though too.
And then but I'm in the middle of a map.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
So I
if
go
you
and I
want to
click
do it
on
during
the
that
guy.
time, sure.
Yeah, and then I bring up his dialogue, and then I have to scroll to the right, and then I have to go down. But it's controller support, so every now and then, for some reason, it goes to the left. So then I have to go to the right again and go down, and then I have to go view, and it's just not a very smooth.
If they were going to make it so you could go there,
because
if they were going to make it where you could go there in the map, they should have just made his portal that he comes out of what you click on to go to the necropolis.
Exactly.
No, you can't. I'm saying they should have.
Yeah,
I never go to him during a map. I always go to the waypoint and then go to the necropolis, like when I'm done the zone or whatever I'm in.
Yeah.
But I have been just going and throwing, and I can't tell you how excited I get when I get the +1 explicit modifier. I'm like, yes, I'm getting more than four modifiers on my item. But
nice.
It is nice for a league where there's no rares in Magic to be able to use those to at least get a base type that you want. I mean, you say as if you're like rolling godly items. You're not. you're rolling garbage. It's just that they are going to be rare, and you have a slight chance that they might roll a decent modifier.
But you see, that's kind of the point, though. The whole point of no magic and
It's like rares, but extra steps.
Right. It's like you have to go through the long process to get it. So to me, this is just adding extra steps to get the same crappy rare that could have just dropped.
Which we had that conversation in After Dark where I liked that you were going to have to interact with the league mechanic if you wanted the rares.
Yeah. But the nice thing about this, which is almost cheating, is you get to choose which base type drops at your feet.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Pretty awesome
to me. From a solo self-helm perspective, excuse me, I would like some energy shield and armor boots, please. No, just the best base type that's available currently. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's fun.
Serve it on a platter.
It's funny using the default filter for a league.
Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it bad?
At least my currency is colored.
Yeah, that's true. I'm looking forward to seeing what the default filter looks like later on.
Like in PoE 2, you mean?
No.
Or what do you mean later on? Oh, Jesus. You mean like as you get into the spot where more stuff's dropping and you're like, I'm not picking it up at all.
Right. Like I want to see what it's like. Now, granted, a league where no magic and rare drops isn't a fair time to discern how crappy the default filter usually would be, because everything gets converted to normals, right? It's not just the magic and rares don't happen. It's that if they were going to drop, they get downgraded. So it's not really fair. But just to see what the currency's like, do the scrolls get smaller? Do they drop in stacks only? They don't worry.
And they won't, no.
Because the console has had this bug since it existed. It's infuriating that if you're using a custom filter, the game doesn't load with the custom filter that you previously were using. It always loads without the filter. You go into your map, you're like, oh crap. And every single time you load the game, not every map, but every time you load the game, you have to reload the filter that you've always used since the dawn of time.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So I always get a nice fresh look at what the default filter normally would look like. It's great.
I mean, it will be a good representation
in PoE 2. Can't wait for that.
It'll be a good representation of just how much shit drops on the ground. Because I was thinking the same thing, like as I get further in, I'm going to be like, I just want a freaking bow, or like, I don't even know how to try and filter it out. I'm not going to go into Filter Blade and try and build a filter for a league that just drops normal items. Although it's fun when a unique item drops. Even if you can't use it, it's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. I had one drop and I was like, oh, cool.
There's your Alk shards.
I should have sold for Alk shards. I saved it. I was like, oh, cool. It's my first one. It's like the Ash Collar wand, I think.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I got the leaf sprigging thing for like the simple RF.
Oh, that's not terrible.
Well, it's good for when you like life regen and all that at the beginning. It's nice.
Mine is I think it's the Ash Collar. It's the one that does summon raging spirits when you kill something.
Yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, BK, you're very patient. Thanks for letting us chat about that.
Of course,
have you played much at all? Are you going to be playing at all the rest of this league? Or are you waiting?
Like, now that I'm sort of being able to come back to the computer and stuff and like sit down and chill, I'll probably kind of log back in, see where I'm at, see if I want to like sell my gear that I put together for my MFR and do something else, or if I'm just kind of done. But isn't like most of the time when I come like play a league for a really long time, I'm usually motivated by like challenge rewards and wanting to finish like the higher challenge count. But I think the set is cool and well designed, but it's just not for me. So like that motivation is not there. So unless it's like playing a specific like crazy build that has been invented due to the ability to really create very good items. Like in Harvest, I played EA Bleed Mines.
Cool.
Because you could do some weird kooky shit and like it didn't matter because you could print perfect items for the game and then like make a build that powerful. And you sort of have that same opportunity again. So I might like poke around PoE Ninja, see what sort of like weird shit people are doing, see if I'm into it, and see how far I can get with like, because the character I put together, I mean, like it was pretty good, but who knows what has happened to the economy. I know that there's been like a series of nerfs for certain strategies and all this other kind of stuff. So I have no idea what I'd be walking back into wealth wise or otherwise. So Probably
You can
just
come play our 10.
evaluate, see what it is, and then decide what I'm going to do from there.
I was going to say, you can come play our 10-day league and build up your massive wealth.
Yeah,
And-
absolutely. Build an
You'd be
empire
so
of
rich.
alterations, and then
So many normal items. Think about the base types.
this is true.
All right. Did you have anything else? Sorry, Ty.
No, I was just going to say that I'm very glad that BK was feeling better enough, healthy enough to come on
Agreed.
to the show today. It sounds like we can't tell. I mean, if we didn't know you, we wouldn't be able to tell that you were feeling poorly, that you just had the worst, 3 weeks of your life. So
Yeah.
thank you for coming on and
Of course.
for
I
braving
was-
it. And you sound fantastic. So I hope you feel as fantastic.
Yeah, it was really like Wednesday that I started to feel better and finally got lots and lots of sleep and have just been able to kind of bounce back finally.
Awesome.
Yep.
Happy
It's,
Super glad. Yeah. Thanks again
now
for.
he's going to get tags better.
It's coming. It's coming. We're going to do After Dark. I debated it, but do you want to join us for After Dark?
Absolutely.
Sweet. It'll probably be a shorter one, but we'll still do it. Let's wrap this up. Forever Exiled 241. I'm Justin AK Tags.
Tyler, Record of Days.
And I'm Brittleknee.
Patrons, we'll catch you in After Dark. Everybody else, we'll see you next week in 242. Hopefully, if you're playing the private league, you have a good time. If you want to play it, hop on our Discord. You'll find it under announcements. That's where the link is. BK's information is down below, as well as ours. foreverexiled.com, Twitter, foreverexiled82. We have a friend Discord. Pop in there, say hi. And Patrons, other ways to support the podcast, you'll find them down below, as well as on foreverexiled.com. Have a fantastic week.